Hey, what's up, guys? I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. I've been kind of looking around and reading articles about the movement by the industry to focus more so on multiplayer games with different microtransactions and DLC. Now, of course, we've had the DLC for several years now, especially on the console side. And I mean, I'm not against that. I think it's cool to have extra content to your favorite games. I just don't like when you have a lot of microtransactions and you have a lot of content that's DLC that could have been in the finished game that we're already paying $60 for. And I also don't like that a lot of times they will prioritize, or not necessarily prioritize, but put a lot of emphasis on a multiplayer for a game that people really weren't looking for to begin with. You know, you have a lot of games where it was kind of shoehorned into the game. Two good examples of that was probably the newest, the new Tomb Raider reboot, the first one that came out, and that had multiplayer that was kind of shoehorned in there. Another good example that would have to be Dead Space 2's multiplayer that was kind of shoehorned in there. And there's some other games like that where it wasn't really a main focus. It was more like it was just kind of put in there to give the game a little more longevity and a little longer time under the sun. But I think that if you focus your efforts towards one thing, you'll become very proficient in that thing. If you want to be good at multiple things, then you have to allow time to develop those things individually to be able to make sure that they're on the same quality with each other. Especially if you're crafting a fantastic narrative, and a single player story, but you also want a really awesome multiplayer. Well, I would imagine from a developer standpoint, okay, you have one team that focuses just on that, and they make sure that the single player is really cleaned up, it looks good, it's really impactful, it's a fantastic experience. Then you have another team that they may specialize in multiplayer, they might specialize in whatever type of game you're making, and then they spend a lot of time crafting it, making it good, making it solid. And you can ship a product that has a fantastic narrative story and also has a very good multiplayer. But that's an allegation of resources and a lot of other things. Not every development cycle is built to do that, and I do understand that creating games nowadays, definitely AAA games, is very expensive. So I'm not trying to be critical of the of developers' process in making games. I have probably no more than maybe above average knowledge of how all of that works, but that's just my 2 cents from working in video production. You just break it apart to different people that specialize in that so they can make those things better and they can function well and they look good. But I'm really at this point now as I look at the industry as a whole, and I really don't like that there is such a push towards this direction of having a lot of microtransactions in the game, to having a bigger focus on, or a bigger, somewhat bigger focus on a multiplayer experience, and not focusing on single player, or only being interested in games that can facilitate a multiplayer of some kind, or a co-op, or And I mean, I love co-op. I have lots of friends. We love playing co-op. It's a fun experience to hang out with each other and enjoy a game. But if a game is built to be single player and the narrative was built around one character, just let it be built around one character. Now, there's other ways that you could kind of bolster up a game's sales. Well, one, craft a fantastic game, and a lot of people will buy your game. So that kind of helps out too. And you could also do things like impactful DLC for your game, and a lot of developers do that. They won't shoehorn a multiplayer mode in there. They'll just craft a fantastic story and then add DLC that they legitimately could not put into the game because there was just not enough time to get it all polished up. So I mean, I do agree with that method of doing things. But a lot of the articles I've been reading, I'll put one in particular down in the comments down below so you guys can kind of read it, was an article about how Wolfenstein was going to focus solely on single player. There's no multiplayer in the new Wolfenstein New Order. It's just going to be a single player experience. I mean, the first game was very good. The story was interesting, and I'm glad to see that some developers are like, no, this is going to be a single player experience. They're not going to shoehorn multiplayer into this game, and I respect that because you have to kind of put your foot down to a degree and say, hey, this game is built to be this way, and this is what we need to do to make it a fantastic game in the path that it's going. But, and then there are other developers that have been kind of talking up about that, and they're saying, hey, this game is built to be, a single player game. The creative director of God of War, working on the new God of War coming out next year, will look very good. He also said something very similar to that, saying you got, focus on making it crafting a fantastic narrative and making a fantastic game. And of course, God of War is a single player game. Now, God of War Ascension had a multiplayer mode in it. I didn't play it. It kind of got lukewarm reviews. But, I mean, the Ascension to me was a very good game, but I felt like the weakest part of it may have been the fact that there was time and resources allocated towards making a multiplayer mode that no one really asked for. But, that's a whole another conversation. But I do feel like, that's been my main. I do feel like I do like that a lot of developers are speaking out against that, or speaking up and really putting their 2 cents to it. But I'll put those 2 articles down in the comments down below, and you guys can let me know what you think, have a little discussion, and have a great day. And as always, thanks for watching.